Alright, everybody. Let's see what El Presidente Dan Bilzerian has to say.
Dan Bilzerian is a mega influencer running for Congress. He became notorious with a following of over 30 million on Instagram by showcasing his over-the-top lifestyle of playing poker, private jets, orgies with hot women, and lots of
No, this is the lifestyle everybody should have.
guns. He's been in movies. He's had a T-Pain song named after him, and he's been the envy of
This is the lifestyle of capitalism. And that's good. What's the problem?
millions of men. Well, he recently became notorious for being very viscerally against Israel. He's currently been named the #1 anti-Semite by the government of Israel. And he's now taking on Randy Fine, one of the biggest Zionists in Congress in Florida's 6th congressional district. Dan, welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Okay, you're running for Congress. Why would you want to do something like this?
Well, I don't really
Look, everybody, the future president of the United States.
want to. I just feel like everybody's pissed off. Everybody's talking about these things. Everybody knows what's going on, and there's not really a solution, barring some kind of a violent revolution, which I don't
There is a solution. Throw all the Zionists home where they came from and finish.
think, given our men's testosterone levels, is a realistic thing. And so
That's true. That's true.
I feel like we have to give it a try to, take it over traditionally. And
Men in the West do not have enough testosterone. They're too much like women.
yeah, I just don't see anybody else stepping up. I wish there was. I wish I didn't have to do it.
So you're running as a Republican against Randy. What has been the reaction?
Extremely positive. So we kind of announced the TMZ hit piece, and the bulk of it was them trying to pin me down as an anti-Semite, and it was like 95%.
Listen, this anti-Semite shit, it only works in America. Everybody else around the world, they don't give a fuck about that word.
Of the comments were positive on all 5 of their platforms, so I think that was pretty telling. But I kind of knew when I did the Piers Morgan interview 2 years ago, and this was when it was like really taboo to talk about this stuff, and his entire comment section was positive. And so I was really surprised at how much people know. And I think the longer they know and the more they can't say anything, the more frustrated they get. And I think there's a huge undercurrent in America that wants change and is tired of putting a foreign nation before America. We got sold a bill of goods with the MAGA movement. And I think everybody's just really frustrated right now. So hopefully this will have a...
You supported Donald Trump, at least in 2016. Did you support him in the other 2 elections, 2020 and 24?
No. Well, 2020, I was... I wasn't really one way or the other. 2024, I was pretty adamantly against him. Not that I was pro Kamala Harris. I thought she would be a disaster as well. But I was almost more on her side because I felt like people would follow her less. I felt like Trump had this cult blind allegiance following that would just follow him into a war with Iran. I predicted it happening before the election 2024. And sure enough, here we are.
Yeah, and what is up with America and being like cultish with the political parties? Honestly, I've only seen in America people being cultish with their representatives and the political parties. Nowhere in the world are people cultish like in America, bruv. American people are sick in the brain, bruv. Not all. You can see there's good people like Dan. Dan, he's a reasonable American with knowledge. But majority, nah.
And he's just been an absolute disappointment. And the biggest thing for me that pissed me off is his lack of honesty. And I think that's a big thing with politicians. That's one of the things I'd like to change the most, more than anything else, is having some real accountability. Because people just say whatever the fuck is going to get them into office, and then they go in there and then they do whatever they want for themselves or for their donors, and they just have no allegiance to the truth. They have no allegiance to their audience, fan base, whoever got them elected. And
Listen, only in America can you do traderist. You can be a trader and not go to jail. Only in America.
It's really ridiculous, and there's no repercussions. To me, that's fraud.
That's not true. All the European countries are like the same. Yeah. Only in the West you can be a traitor in your own country as a politician and nothing will happen.
Like if you say you're going to do one thing and then you go into office and, rug pull people, I don't know why that's not considered fraud. I just think there needs to be accountability across the board. Like the media shouldn't be able to knowingly publish false information. And I actually think the fact that they put so much.
That's true. Journalists who lie and do it knowingly or keep on lying and only giving fake facts should be going to jail. They should not have any reason not to go to jail, because what they're doing is, honestly, being a journalist and lying is worse than a thief. A thief, he's just gonna go out and steal, but a journalist, he's gonna go out and influence millions. So I would say journalists should be going to jail for lying.
In his words, fake news out about Trump. I think that's actually really helping him now, because there was so much nonsense published about him that his fan base just got used to, like, oh, it's fake news. It's fake news. Any criticism there, it's Trump derangement syndrome. They're a liberal. It's kind of almost like exactly what the left does. The left is like anti-Semite, Nazi. They have all these stupid keywords and they just shut down in debates, right? They don't debate with facts. It's just ad hom attacks. It's, it's you're a Nazi. You're a white supremacist. You're an anti-Semite. They just have all these words, the Holocaust, Nazi, blah, blah, blah. And they don't debate. And you see that now with Trump's side. It's like, oh, any criticism of Trump derangement syndrome, you're a liberal, you're just a pussy, blah, blah, blah. And it makes it difficult to have a real conversation when people reply like that.
Listen, Americans have been duped and put in boxes against their own will. Listen, only in America you have this Republican and Democrat system where you only have two main parties and no other politicians or other political parties who are able to challenge those two parties. Honestly, it's a monopoly. America have monopoly on politics. The two parties have monopoly on the politics of US.
Yeah. I think
Honestly, it's so retarded how US is actually functioning. It's a totally retarded system.
make a really great point about Congress being fraudulent. And I'd never really thought of it that way before, but it is. I mean, they run on a certain platform, they get elected, they take our money. I mean, that's their paycheck. And then they don't do what they were elected to do. You're right. I think that is fraud. And maybe America can actually make cases against them and actually sue them in court or something. I mean, something's got to give on that front.
Yeah, I mean, they're supposed to serve the country and they're serving themselves. That's the crux of the issue. They are supposed to be serving the country, doing what's in the best interest of the country and the people, and they're not. They're just focused on what is best for them personally. And you see that. They come out of office, with hundreds of millions of dollars on a $200,000 salary.
Yeah. What are you going to do about your dual citizenship?
You don't have dual citizenship. I have 3 citizenships. And they're not really important. I mean, St. Kitts, it's just, Armenia, those are passports that get me into other countries without a visa. So it's more of a travel thing, but
everybody should have multiple citizenship. This shit with, you can only have 1 or 2, fuck them, fuck the system. Listen up. Everybody have the right to have 1 million citizenship. Nobody can fucking say nothing. And if anybody tries to, fucking sue their asses.
I don't care. I mean, if we can pass laws that say you have to have only U.S. citizenship to be in U.S. office, I'm completely behind that. My big issue is that any Jewish person can immediately get Israeli citizenship same day just because they're Jewish. So even if they don't hold the passport at that given time, they could have it later that day. They could have it tomorrow. And so I think if you're going to actually pass those laws, which I'm totally fine with, I don't care. I mean, I think I've used my other passports maybe once or twice. And I recently got them. It's not like I was born in Armenia or have, any like allegiance to that country over America. Armenia doesn't shape our foreign policy. They don't get aid. It's just like, it's a non-thought, and St. Kitts, a tiny little country place in the Caribbean, and basically they don't have any corporate income tax. So there's like some benefit there, but it's not like I would ever be putting a foreign nation before America. The problem is Israel. That is the country that gets this special preferential treatment. We're giving them all this money. They do nothing for us. They never send us troops. They sell our secrets. I mean, they've been taking advantage of us, since their inception. And that's really the problem. And Randy's whole thing of like, I'm passing these laws to stop dual citizenship. It's all bullshit. Thomas Massey is the one that put those laws in place or proposed that legislature, and he shot it down. He actually voted against it. So now he's like trying to champion this bill that he voted against. It's just like, it's just a total sham. He's doing it. It's a total, virtue signal, look at me, blah, blah, blah. I don't, meanwhile, he's got the Israeli flag hung in his office higher than the U.S. flag, which is illegal. And he's putting a foreign nation before America. That's treason. So what this whole proposal that he's putting in place is it's all performative. It's nonsense. He doesn't actually believe that.
Listen, I think the capital punishment and death penalty should be brought back to traitors. Honestly, traitors, like after World War II, many people who didn't deserve it, but only just because they were worked with the Germans, had horrible things happen to them. So honestly, all these guys who support the Z and their politics and their new world order should have capital punishment and should be dealt with like people were dealt with after World War II. That is the only reasonable thing.
He is Israel.
Because people like that don't deserve to be in this world. They don't deserve it because those people are sickness upon this world. Because look what they have done. Until now, millions of people have died. The world is not going forward, it's going backwards. They're holding people back from peace and prosperity. They're only doing what interests them and what they can gain out of. And that is a crime against humanity and should have very, very harsh consequences.
First, unequivocally, and that's my biggest issue with him.
Florida's 6th congressional district, what is the demographic of that? Is it heavily Jewish? A lot of the Florida districts are.
No, I mean, it's probably disproportionately Jewish for the population, but maybe 2%. I mean, it's not like Fort Lauderdale or Miami or something like that or Boca. I think it's predominantly white. I mean, I've just looked at the demographic for the people that vote in the primaries, and it's definitely skewed a little bit older. But look, I mean, this is one of those things where I think people feel strongly about this issue. They're tired of foreign nations being put before America. This war's been a disaster. They're paying for it at the pump. They're going to see the downstream negative effects of this. We got nothing out of it, and the only reason we even engage in that war is because of Israel. It's literally the
only thing Dan is forgetting that even the American administration, the American White House, the American deep state are working against the American people and their prosperity. He's forgetting that.
The only reason we said that, we said that, 18 different intelligence agencies said that Iran was not a credible threat in any way, shape, or form. They didn't have intercontinental ballistic missiles. They didn't have a nuclear program. They weren't developing. We supposedly destroyed it for 3 years. So we went into that war according to our government because Israel was going to strike them first. And so we wanted to be first. It's like, I think this kid might punch me, so I'm going to go beat the shit out of him. I mean, it's absurd. And what do? We went and bombed a children's school. We're not in the right here. Everybody sees that. We're not accomplishing anything. It's a total disaster. I mean, if we can even get to the status quo that we were at before the start of the war, that would be a massive victory at this point. We've been embarrassed on a global scale. Trump showed everyone his ass. He's made all these false threats, which has weakened America. It's weakened our political perception because, how many times can you cry wolf before people stop taking you seriously? And that was a big source of our power, was that people, our threats seemed real, credible.
Nah, not really. Not really. Listen, America rode the wave after World War II when Europe was carpet bombed and everything was destroyed. But as soon as Europe was rebuilt, it only went down for America. Because America has nothing, bruv. It can't offer the world anything. It can't. And let's be factual, it can't.
And so, okay. I just think it's very obvious at this point what he's doing is detrimental.
Are you running for Congress to run for Congress, or are you running against Randy Fine specifically? Like if it wasn't him, because like you just said, this congressional district is skewing older. I think you would fare better in a younger district, like maybe Miami type of a thing. Or is it that you're just running against Randy Fine?
Well, no, I could definitely win easier in other spots. I think unseating him is important. I think the optics of that are very important. I think it's showing people kind of the sentiment of America right now. I think it'll encourage people to run on a similar platform in 2028. I mean, a lot of people think that my message probably can't win. You got guys like Fishback out there that are pushing a little bit more of a vanilla message and having some success with the younger demographic. So now the question is going to be, will that younger demographic come out and vote? I think that for the first time, they probably will, because this is something that's super important to them. And I don't think the youth has ever been as informed as it is now. So I'm optimistic.
That's
I mean, if you do
factual.
win on this message, it certainly would be sort of a glass breaking moment, right, for people. I mean, it would definitely.
1 second, everybody. I'll be right back. Alright, let's continue.
Change, I think, the rhetoric in politics. Rather than being more safe and secure and taking, like you said, a vanilla message, people might actually just come out and say, "That's it, we're done with Israel," and you would pave the way for that. So that would be something for sure. Okay, so you've got this older demographic in this Florida congressional district, which means they probably don't know who you are. I mean, I'm your age, and I didn't really do much on Instagram myself. It's kind of younger, even the younger demographic, than even younger than us, slightly. So they're, this group, so they don't know who you are, but your past is going to come roaring back. I mean, that's what happens when you run for office. That's why I'm surprised you even want to do it, because this is when,
What past? Bruh, he's lived the fucking ultimate capitalist's life. He fucking made it in the capitalist system. What the fuck is this girl talking about?
but you've lived a very public life. You've always been out there. So it's not like suddenly some dark secret comes out. Everything that's out there is already out there with you. So how are you going to address, first of all, the lifestyle that you had? A lot of these older.
There's nothing wrong with his lifestyle. He's what capitalism looks. He is the fucking the top of capitalism. What he did is what capitalism is all about. So what is this girl talking about?
Conservatives are not going to like the fact that you were sleeping with 3
Conservatives, bullshit.
women a night, having orgies, like not, living that sort of lifestyle. How are you going to respond to that? Have you changed from that? Was that real? A lot of people would say, Dan, you're sitting here saying we got to be truthful and honest now, but many people would suspect that all of that was kind of for show.
Definitely wasn't for show, and it was up to 9 women in one night at one point. But
He's a fucking G, bro.
My lifestyle.
He's a G. Honestly, he's a fucking G.
For it then, I'm not going to apologize for it now, and I think that actually helps me a lot, because I don't care about the hedonism. I realize that that's not the answer, and it gives me a unique perspective on this. I think a lot of people that get into office, they want the power, they want the money, maybe they want the fame, the notoriety. I've had all of that.
Exactly.
In the most massive excess you ever could have. And I think realizing that that's not the answer makes me uncorruptible, because the reason that people get corrupted is because they want money, they want power, they want fame, they want these things. A lot of times you get women and whatever. So I think it's important that I had those experiences. And feel free to ask me any questions you want, because actually most of the negative stuff that I got press for was all, when explained, actually like a lot better than it was perceived. Like, for instance, like the Dan Bilzerian throws a porn star off his roof. Like, I'm just throwing girls off the roof on a Saturday like it's something to do. That's the headline. But the truth is, that was for a Hustler photo shoot. They asked me to do it. The girl volunteered. She wanted to do it. And she made the mistake of holding onto my shirt when I threw her after we had, done 3 dry runs. And, the only thing she had to do is not hold onto my shirt. So, that was in context. That's not a bad thing, right? It's like a Red Bull stunt. I mean, if something goes wrong and the headline is, this guy crashed his motorcycle into the 3rd story of a building, you're like, oh, this guy's an idiot. But if it's for a Red Bull stunt and it goes wrong, well, in context, it's very different. And, other headlines I got was that, Dan Bilzerian asked for a cop's gun during the Vegas shooting, and what an idiot. But I was a cop for 4 years, as a cop at the time, and 3 days prior to that mass shooting, I had actually kicked the door off its hinges, serving a murder warrant in New Mexico as a cop. So it didn't seem out of the realm of possibility for me to ask a police officer for a gun, considering I had my badge and I had my police ID, and there's a mass shooting going on, and he was running away, and he had 2 guns. So in context, these things are not crazy.
Yeah, what the fuck, bro? Yo, honestly, Dan, he should be the fucking president of the United States. These interviewers should be calling him El Presidente.
Right? They're actually very rational. And so I'm happy to go into any of the negative, press that I got in my past and clarify, because I think all of it will actually really help me. I've led with my worst. I didn't apologize for any of that stuff. In fact, I didn't even address most of it, because my platform was, 10x bigger than any news outlet. I had, I got almost 60 million followers across platforms. So I'm not going to draw a spotlight to false negative press about me. But now I'm happy to address anything. So any questions people have, whatever. And once again, I'm not begging for votes. I'm not trying to convince everybody that I'm the greatest guy. I'm just saying I'm doing this as a selfless act to help the people and help the country, because we've got corrupt politicians in office and they're covering up a pedophile ring. They've got dirt on them. Most of them are being blackmailed by 8-Pack. We've got a real fucking problem, and I'm helping up. I'm stepping up, trying to be the solution. And if they don't want it, well, they're going to pay.
And that's respectable. He's going out of his comfortable way to fucking set things straight. Because he can see that everybody is a fucking national traitor that is in politics. So honestly, Dan, he's a fucking real American, bro. And everybody should fucking call him El Presidente.
Pay for it. I'm not. I can leave. I'm rich. This is not going to affect me nearly as much as it's going to affect them when they're paying $8 a pump because we've got a government that doesn't give a shit about them. So if they don't elect me, they're going to pay for it. This is not something that I'm asking for. I don't really want to do this. And that's, I think, the kind of people that you need in government, the people that are stepping up to do it, as a service. I served 4 years in the military, but that was because that was my best option. That wasn't a selfless act. This is a selfless act. This is because I actually really want to give back and help the country. So they're going to, take me or leave me, but I'm not trying to sell myself here.
I think the issue is that so many of us are now really, really, we don't trust anybody or anything anymore, right? I mean, after Donald Trump and after, there's just been so many politicians who've lied on both sides. I mean, from AOC, you take AOC, who's like, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to break the system. In her first day in office, she goes and protests in front of Nancy Pelosi's office, and everyone's like, yeah, that's what we voted for. That's what we voted for. But now she's like, Mama Bear, Nancy Pelosi.
Yeah, then she signs a bill to give money to Israel for their weapons. Right. So it's just like, it's all fraud. And that's what I'm saying. That's some of the legislation I want to pass, is to stop this fraud, stop people from coming in, saying one thing, running on a certain platform, and then doing a rug pull in their audience. Like, that's a big problem. That, to me, is fraud, and that should be prosecuted. And I'll tell you what, you start prosecuting these people, and they're going to think twice about, making all these lies and false promises before coming into office. And I think it should be illegal for a politician to knowingly lie to, the news. Like, for Trump to knowingly lie to us, to lie to Americans, I think that should be illegal. I think that he has an obligation as the president of the United States to be honest to his citizens that he's supposed to be serving.
Have you lost money since you've come out so staunchly against Israel?
Yeah, we were supposed to do a $750 million sale of my company, of which I had, 47% equity. And they basically said, if you continue to talk negatively about Israel, we're pulling out. The bankers were Jewish, whatever. And then my business manager tried to extort me. My Canadian lawyer, who was Jewish, completely screwed up my case on purpose. He was supposed to file shareholder repression, and he filed it as me being the company, which he knew was wrong. The court told me it was wrong. The judge told me it was wrong, but I still had to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars. It cost me months. They kicked me off the board of my company. I mean, I could go on and on, but no, it has not been positive for me. It's been a massive net negative. I've gained nothing from this whatsoever. And I was talking about this 2 years ago before it was a TikTok trend. Now it's like, popular to talk about this. Back then, it'd get you killed, canceled, whatever. And I did it because it was the right thing to do, because somebody had to do it. And I think I had a big part in giving people the courage to talk about this, because before it was super taboo. I mean, like I said, look at the comments on Piers Morgan. That was like 2 years ago. They're all in my favor. But at that time, nobody was saying this stuff. So clearly they knew. They were just all scared. And so I think, look, I mean, when you're driving down the highway at 150 miles an hour and somebody sees you, they're going to feel more comfortable driving 80, right? So I think it's important for some people to kind of like come out and lead the charge on this, and it had to happen. And so, usually if you're early, you get chewed up and you're cannon fodder, but it helps. So somebody has to start it, or it never happens.
Some people who are anti-Zionist would say you're an anti-Semite. I mean, they would still say, yeah, okay, he's bad for the movement. He's saying
blah, 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 propaganda.
Some things we agree with, but ultimately he's bad because he's an actual anti-Semite. There were reports of like swastikas being found on your paintball equipment.
And
what do you say to that? I mean, of course, the government of Israel said you're the number one anti-Semite. I don't know.
Listen. Not even the Germans did have done what the Zionists has done. Germans are not even close to what Zionists have done. I don't even want to listen to this. The Germans are fucking puppies if you fucking put them side by side with the fucking Zionists. So fucking forget that shit, man. Fucking stop lying about World War II.
I mean, many of us don't take any of that very seriously, but are you against Zionism? You've made a lot of statements against Jews or Judaism. What's the distinction for you? Is there one?
Yeah, I'm not one of those people that say anti-Zionist, because, there's been Jewish problems before the inception of Israel. And if you look at who started Israel, it was a bunch of Jewish terrorists. The Irgun, the Stern Gang, the Haganah, those were Jewish terrorists. They bombed the King David Hotel. This is before Israel even started. So they were committing terrorist acts. You look at the Bolshevik genocide. So there has absolutely been a Jewish supremacy problem before the inception of Israel. So I think saying, it's only a Zionist problem is just ignorance. I think that those people don't understand the history. They don't understand how long this has been going on. And, they got caught poisoning, Palestinian wells. We look in ChatGPT and you say, hey, have Jews ever poisoned wells? No, that is an anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, trope, whatever. And then you say, okay, how about Operation Cast Thy Bread? And then, that is Jews poisoning Palestinian wells. And it was authorized by Ben Gurion, who went on to be the prime minister of Israel, who was leading a terrorist gang prior to Israel's inception. So, no, I don't say Zionist. And I also don't say all Jews. I say Jewish supremacy, because everything they told us that white supremacy was is actually Jewish supremacy. Everything they told us that white privilege was is what Jewish privilege is. So I think it's very important to talk about this and not be scared. And I think the crux of the issue is that their religion tells them that they are chosen by God, that they are better than other people, that they can lie, cheat, and steal from non-Jews, and that, Gentiles are like cattle. And you saw that in the Epstein files. He literally, if we would have said the things that Epstein said, it would have been the most anti-Semitic thing you've ever heard. But he literally said, this is how the Jew makes money, talking about Gentiles like we're idiots, and how they manipulate the markets and this, that, and the other. The guy won the fucking Powerball twice, So, like, I don't know. I'm just not going to ignore I'm not going to ignore history. Like, I'm going to learn from it. And I, until 3 years ago, like, I didn't even consider this. Like, I didn't think that Jews wouldn't like me because I was Christian. But then you start reading the Talmud and you see what it says. Like, they believe that Jesus is in hell burning in shit, and that anybody that's an idol worshiper should die. And so they consider Jesus an idol. So the religions are just, there's no such thing as Judeo-Christian values. That's complete bullshit. Like, all these terms are very new. Like, Judeo-Christian values was never a thing. That was introduced to the U.S. as propaganda. And so they've kind of like hitched their wagon to Christianity for appearance's sake, but they don't actually believe that. And they've been constantly trying to pit us against Muslims, telling us that Muslims are the problem. They attack Muslims all the time. But this double standard of, if you say anything about Judaism, you're an anti-Semite, this, that, and the other, which I find hypocritical, because the Palestinians are the actual Semites. Semite is an Arab. Semite is somebody from that land. And most of the people that are in Israel are Eastern European Ashkenazi Jews that have absolutely no lineage whatsoever to that region. They have like blonde hair and blue eyes. And that's why they all changed their names, because they had Polish last names. They wanted to sound like they were more from that region. You've got Milanowski, and he changed his name to
Netanyahu. Right.
Netanyahu. I'm tired
Fact.
today. I've been just doing interview after interview. It's tough. I didn't realize how much
campaigning. Yeah, welcome to campaigning. I agree with you on a lot of that. I'm a critic of many religions, and so and Judaism is not any exception to that, just because it is Judaism, which is what they try to tell us. It's like, you're not allowed to criticize this particular religion, but you can criticize any other one. I think that's bullshit. I criticize it plenty. And I think one of the biggest criticisms I have of it is the chosen narrative. And even if they say, well, it's not meant to be that, it's interpreted wrong. It's like, well, it doesn't matter what it was meant to be. The fact is, it's being interpreted incorrectly, and it's being interpreted incorrectly in mass. And it is a supremacy ideology that any other group, we would try to eradicate that thinking out of. That's what we were doing with the Germans after World War II for a long time, still try to do. So that, I agree that Zionism.
What the fuck is this girl talking about? Girl, you fucking Asian. What the fuck do you have with the Germans to do? You're not American. Listen, this is Asian girl.
Is one of the problems, but what feeds into it, unfortunately.
Why is she saying we?
Is,
You're not French. You are Asian. You look Asian.
The constant victimhood is, to me, another big problem. If you believe you're the world's greatest victim, and then you believe that the whole world is against you, and eventually you're going to go after every single group in the world. Like right now it's the Palestinians, and then it's the Iranians, but now we see it might be the Turks soon enough. And then ultimately Christianity has actually been the biggest enemy to Judaism, to Jews. For a much longer period of time. If you look at the historical persecution of Jews, Christians, if they're going to be pinning a group, it would be Christians who've done more than any other group against Jews, right? So Christians would be the natural.
That's how they frame it. They frame it that they've been persecuted. And that's how they're trying to frame the current situation as well. And I think that when you see them lie about these things, you have to then go back and start questioning how they've been presenting history to you in the past. Because every Jewish narrative that I've heard recently is how October 7th, we were persecuted. They're trying to genocide us. Meanwhile, literally committing a genocide in 4K.
Yeah.
And so, when they say, oh, we don't really believe that we're chosen, or that doesn't mean this, I just look at their actions. Right? Like, talk is cheap to me. I look at what they're doing. They're shooting children in the head. They're shooting aid workers. They're stealing land. They're constantly attacking their neighbors, constantly breaking peace treaties every time they break the ceasefires. Like, they are the constant aggressors. They are absolutely not the victims. And then they just lied to us about everything about October 7th. First of all, they let it happen. Second of all, the Hannibal Directive was unequivocally employed, where they killed their own citizens to pump up the numbers, and then tried to use the Hellfire missiles that hit the cars as like, oh my God, look at what Hamas did. They burnt this car to the ground. It's like, I was in the military. Like, I've shot RPGs. I've been in attack helicopters. I've blown up cars with guns. I know exactly what a car looks like when you shoot it with a gun and blow it up, because I've done it, and I've shot RPGs. those cars were destroyed by Hellfire missiles. That is not what happens when you shoot a car. Trust me, it's really hard to blow up a car when you shoot it. I know because I've done it a lot. I've bought a lot of cars and I've shot them. It's really hard. Unless you have incendiary ammunition, it's next to impossible to get a car to, blow up. And even if it does burn, it's not going to burn to where the frame of the car is welded with the asphalt. And one of the reasons why they couldn't get the numbers right was because the people were so badly burned that they couldn't really figure out who was who. And so then when you look at the number of actual civilian casualties on October 7th, and if you
Honestly, Dan, nice work.
compare it, the crazy thing is they actually killed more Palestinian civilians that year than civilians died during October 7th's attack. So how could you then argue that that wasn't a response to them murdering the Palestinian civilians that year? So look at this whole narrative, and it's all bullshit. They told you 40 beheaded babies. That was a complete lie. They told us during the Holocaust that people were turned into lampshades. They were turned into soap, the roller coaster. It's just all bullshit. And they admit
Yep, that is lies.
that it's bullshit. And so when somebody lies to me on the scale of which they lied to us about these events and continuously lie and gaslight us over and over and over again, it's not just a one-off incident. This is the entire government. These are, like a country, right? And so now you have to then turn around and look at the lens of like, have these people just been acting like assholes for a long time because they believe that they're chosen, or have they been persecuted? Because I'm not denying people have been persecuted throughout the years. But the odds of every single country around the world accusing them of the same things and all throwing them out, but then never actually killing them, right? They all just get expelled and then they get let back in and then they get thrown out again. And so I look at the history and I really have to question the narrative of the persecuted Jew. I don't believe it.
I mean, I think that's fair. Okay, so then what do you want to do about it?
Then for the president of America. Brother, then he's on the path of truth, honestly.
Well, I think there needs to be accountability. I think that they need to be taken out of a victim category because they're massively overrepresented in almost every position of power. They are as privileged as any class in.
And that's around the world. Let's not forget that. It's not just in America. It's in Europe. It's in Asia. It's in any fucking where, bruv. Any fucking where. Australia, North America, South America, wherever, bruv.
In the world, anywhere. It's not even close. And so I think there should be accountability, right? Like with great responsibility, should come, or great power should come great responsibility. I mean, if you're the president of the United States, everybody can criticize you, this, that, and the other. Like usually when you're in a position of power, unless you're a dictator in a communist country, you should be able to get criticism. So to me, that is the first start. Like they have to stop weaponizing words. They have to stop enacting laws. I mean, Randy Fine enacted a law to throw you in jail for 5 years for anti-Semitism. Meanwhile, he's on his own Twitter account calling for the massacre of Palestinians, saying, we should kill them all, bombs away. The streets should be, run with the Palestinian blood. He's talking about how dogs are better than Muslims. I mean, this is craziness. So it's like, listen, I'm a free speech absolutist. You want to say all this vile shit about Palestinians? Fine, that's your right. People should judge you based on what you say. I'm actually okay with whatever you want to say, because to me, it's like that's just exposing you. That's exposing who you are. People will see that and they will judge you accordingly and hopefully not reelect you when you say vile shit like that on your Twitter. By the same token, everybody else should be able to say whatever they want about any other religion, including Jews. So you can't just punish people for going against your religion when nobody's actually even said nearly the vile shit that he said about Muslims about Jews. So this double standard, this hypocrisy is what I really have issue with. Because to me, if we want to coexist on this earth as humans, I think that the only answer is pure equality, not victim categories, not supremacist mindsets, not I'm better than you or whatever, or this tribal bullshit. It's like everybody's equal, period. Like take race out of it, take religion out of it, judge people at face value based on who they are. The problem is you can't do that when small tribes have a disproportionate amount of power and they don't like you, unbeknownst to you. Because until recently, I didn't realize that they were attacking basically whiteness. If you look at all the attacks on whiteness in the US, they want to label that as liberal stuff, but that's coming from the Jewish media. Like this stuff is coming from them. And if you look at like all the downstream effects of this melting pot idea of the attacks on whiteness, on the DEI, on all these other initiatives that they've put in place, all the NGOs that they've been funding, pushing open borders, it literally just attacks whites. It's really just a focused attack on whites if you want to just break it down and look at the actual effects of what they're doing. And so I didn't pick this fight. Like they attacked me. They attacked masculinity. They attacked like being white in America. They attacked being Christian. Like, so if they want to start attacking me, well, I'm not just going to like sit on the ground and fucking take it lying down. Like I'm going to stand up and defend myself. Like this is absurd at this point.
But what can you do about the disproportionate representation in various different fields in Congress and law and positions.
Investigate how the fuck they even got in that position. If anything illegal's happened, remove those persons, throw them in jail, and other people will fill up those positions. That's so fucking easy.
Of power. What would you suggest? What could be done? If it follows that Jews are the problem, essentially, then that's why I'm asking, what do you want to do about them then?
Well, I'm not saying Jews. Okay, so. And once again, let me clarify, because I'm not saying every Jew is a problem. I think this is a very important thing to like really articulate, right? Like, obviously not all Jews are bad. I'm friends with some Jews. Like, I know Jews. I actually had probably more Jewish friends before I started speaking out about this than anything. So I've never really had like a bias, right? But that being said, I really believe that Jewish supremacy is responsible for many of the problems that we are facing today. So, my solution isn't just like round them up or all Jews are bad or whatever. I'm not advocating for that. I'm just saying first of all, you should be able to criticize them. We have to like remove this stigma. Like any criticism of Jews or Israel or any of that stuff is anti-Semitism and you need to be thrown in jail according to Randy Fine, right? So I think, normal criticism is that's like step one, right? And then responsibility, I think that's step two. Step three is, stop allowing this allegiance to Israel, this Israel first within our politics. Like that to me should be really like punishable and prosecutable, because that's treason by definition. If you are serving a U.S. office and you're putting a foreign nation, I don't give a shit if it's China, if it's Japan, if it's Israel, I don't care where it is. If you're putting a foreign nation's interest before America to the detriment of Americans and you're using our tax dollars to help another country, especially commit a fucking genocide of all things, right? Like I have real problems.
Listen, it is treason, but it don't apply when it comes to Israel. But in every other country and in America, if it's any other country, we're talking about Russia, a European country, an Asian country, bruv, you will be rotting in jail, bruv. But when it's Israel, nothing's happening.
Problem with that. So that would be kind of my start. We can figure out where we go from there. But like at a minimum, they need to be able to be criticized. They need to stop putting a foreign country before America. And we need to like really be able to discuss what's going on. Like, that's where I would like to start.
Yeah. And I also think that any sort of supremacist ideology has to be condemned. I mean, it just has to be made completely, socially unacceptable to have any sort of a superiority or a supremacy complex. And that, unfortunately, rather than that being condemned, it's instead being propped up, right? It's like we hear the phrase all the time, those who bless the Jews like are blessed or something like this. That's some sort of a biblical phrase. And it's like, oh, we're supposed to bless this group. We're supposed to, honor and revere this group. And that is obviously rooted in supremacy of some form. And that has to be.
You know what's funny? Why do people change the identity when they come to America? I don't get that. Like, I don't get like how you would call yourself an American and not call yourself where you came from. That doesn't make sense for me. Even though 1, 2, 3, 4 generations, why you would change up and call yourself American? But I don't know, man. That's something different in America. I think in Europe it's not like that. You don't call yourself a different nation just because you moved to that nation. People would look at you weird. They would be like, okay, this guy, he's not quite normal.
I think rooted out of their culture, socially and religiously, and also our culture, Christian culture, socially and religiously, and just said, that is not an okay ideology. It always, always leads to death and destruction. We've never seen it not from any group.
I fully agree. I mean, I will say, I am friends with some black supremacists. I'm friends with some white supremacists. I don't agree with their ideology, and I tell them that. I'm not going to condemn them. Like I understand, some of these guys in the black community, they've been fed this misinformation, and they've got, kind of like some tribalism, and I think the media perpetuated that. I don't agree with it, but I can still be friends with them, and they treat me with respect, and I treat them with respect. And I think it's important to have those dialogues. I mean, the same thing with the white supremacists. I mean, I understand where they're coming from. They're saying basically like blacks are disproportionately attacking whites in America, and the statistical, crime stats back that up. And, I get it. Like I said, I don't think this is like a white versus black. I don't think it's Christian versus Muslim. I think it's a right versus left. Like my message is like, we got to like put all that shit aside, come together and do what's best for the country. Like this whole like separationalist, like I'm going to live in this neighborhood. I'm going to live in this neighborhood. Like, I don't agree with it. I wouldn't stop it, because you have Jewish neighborhoods, like you do have black neighborhoods. So if white people want to have their own neighborhoods, like I said, I don't agree with it, but I get it too. Like to some extent, like if people are going to segregate, you can't tell like other groups that they can segregate and then this group they can't. Right. I don't think people should be doing that at all. Like I said, my message is more like, dude, we got to come together. Like there's bigger fish to fry than the color of your fucking skin. Like There's children that are being raped. There's politicians that are blackmailed. Like we're, destroying our country to help a foreign country commit a genocide. Like those to me are like big, important issues. And I think that's something that like affects everybody in America. And I see the extreme left and the extreme right kind of like being like a horseshoe. And we're like meeting at these issues. And it's like finally we can agree on some things. The real problem is like our politicians also agree in the other direction on those things, right? They can't agree on anything else, but they all want to fucking fund Israel. I mean, they just, the Senate just was like 60-40 to send more money to Israel for more, more weapons. And it's like, what are we doing? Yeah. They literally violated the last peace treaty. They like couldn't even go 2 hours without bombing Lebanon, and it's like to steal more fucking land. And so I'm like, this is not a country to me that's operating as they should be, considering we're the number one supporter of them. We give them more money than any other country in the world. They're the only country of the top 5 that we support that has never sent us boots on the ground, even in a war they fucking started. Like they wouldn't even send any troops to Iran when we wanted to do a ground invasion, not one. And they started it and they refused to let it go. And then they're not going to help us when we're paying for all their shit. Like to me, that is not an ally relationship. That is a relationship of control, and they're controlling us somehow to our own detriment, despite the fact that we're funding them and not the other way around.
Is this your one issue? You're running for Congress. So are you running on any other issues, or is this it?
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not like, this is not the only thing I care about. It's just like, this is one of the things that I'm focusing on because he's so pro-Israel and because he's so like Jew. Like, I mean, I looked at his last 2 posts, like, hey, I went to a Jewish college and I talked to all Jewish kids. It's like, cool, dude, like virtue signal on your own personal thing. Like, you should be focused on the country, not on like some small group of Jews that you think are, once again, victims, blah, blah, blah. It's like combating anti-Semitism. Like, that's not what you should be focusing on. Like, we're in the middle of a war that could potentially escalate to World War III and end us. Like, I'm not worried about like some small Jewish college in Florida, like stop. And so I'm kind of focusing on the issue because he is dehumanizing Muslims. He's basically calling for a genocide. He's cheering on and like and encouraging us to nuke a fucking foreign country. He's saying that Muslims are lower than dogs. Like, I mean, this is really like vile stuff. So I'm focusing on that because that's really like the focal point of his platform. But obviously, like there's a lot of issues in America that I want to fix. I mean, our government is absolutely inefficient. We're running this crazy deficit, and there's just so much money wasted, and most of it is wasted through corruption. And I don't think anybody cares. Like everybody's just kind of like in there like, oh, what can I get in the short term? And let me campaign and raise more money for the next one. It's like, if you put in ChatGPT, what does a congressman do? Because I did that a few months ago because I want to know like what I was signing up for. And like the main thing it says is campaign and meet with donors. Yeah. Like what the fuck? Like you should be doing your job. You should be focusing on America, not focusing on getting yourself reelected and like doing favors for people that are giving you money. Like the system is literally set up to encourage corruption. And that's my problem.
How can people support your campaign? How are you funding it?
Well, it's, let me see here. It is.
Is this a website?
Yeah. I'm just getting the website here. Bilzerianforcongress.com.
I was just going to say that's probably what it is, but I think you should change that.
If you are in the States, go in and support Dan on his website. You gotta fucking do your thing. Don't fucking be a goy. Fucking wake up. Fucking check your hands in your... What's it called? Take fucking control over your own country, man. What the fuck, bruv? Americans, grow some fucking balls.
Just because it's hard to spell.
And vote on Dan. And vote on him to for the next presidential election.
That's just my 2 cents on that. Something to think about. Okay, but
first Senate and then presidential election.
Bilzerianforcongress.com. Is that what you?
Yes, I did put it in like the bio of my my Instagram, my Twitter, and stuff. So that'd probably be easier to click on that. Yeah,
but it's in the link down below. So we'll definitely have that down there, and people can fund your campaign. They can donate to your campaign. I don't know what the rules are with self-funding. I actually have no idea. So I don't know if you're allowed to self-fund your campaign or to how much you're allowed to do that without breaking any rules. Do you know?
Yep. I started it and I put some money in, and I'm also donating to other people's campaigns. Like I donated to Thomas Massey's campaign. I think this is like an important time right now. I really think that if we don't take control of our country in the next 2 years, like we're screwed. I really believe that. Like I truly believe that. Like once Palantir's
honestly, America, if Americans don't get the country in control, bruv, you're gonna live in a fucking horrible country, bruv. All of you are gonna fucking get digitalized. Everything is gonna get on a big database, and all of you are gonna be numbers, and you're gonna do whatever the state says.
place and they're spying on everybody and everybody in the government is, massively corrupt and they see themselves
Listen, bro. Honestly, in America, you guys don't got rights, bro. You got no right. All of these guys are saying, "Oh, America, the land of the free." Hell no, bro. Hell no. You guys got no rights. People over here have 10 times more rights than people in America, man.
losing power and they see the shift. I think they're going to really buckle down. I think you're going to see anti-Semitism laws. I think you're going to see like serious heavy surveillance. I think you're going to see them really trying to destroy anybody that speaks out. I mean, look at Trump. I mean, any person that's talked bad about Trump, he's viciously gone after. Like all of a sudden they're low IQ, they're an idiot, they're this, they're that. And it was like one day ago, they were fine. But the moment they started talking about you, now all of a sudden they're low IQ, they're this, they're an idiot. They shouldn't have even got the job. It's like, dude, you appointed this person. Like you put them in place. So the moment they start criticizing you, now all of a sudden they're unqualified. I mean, it's comical. I mean, it's like junior high stuff to me. But you see it. He's literally attacking any person that criticizes him. And so
I don't know if you know this, but Tucker and Megyn Kelly and Candace Owens and there's a whole list of them that all just went collectively crazy all at the same time. I mean, I don't know. They drank from the same Kool-Aid and that was it. So that's what it is.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, you see it. I mean, Joe Kent, I mean, he resigned, and I think it was for very honorable reasons. You've got a guy that's, served 11 combat tours. He was special forces, and his wife died in combat. I mean, this is a true American patriot. I mean, he's got the pedigree of a patriot. I mean, and then you've got a draft dodger, Donald Trump, trying to, like talk shit about him. It's just, I don't know. It's just so crazy. It's so obvious. Like to me, in order to be like in the MAGA cult right now, you got to have an IQ of lower than 80 to not see like the clear writing on the wall of what's going on.
For sure.
I think it's basically troubling.
Well, Dan, I have to tell you, Randy Fine is one of my least favorite members of Congress. So, I hope you kick his ass. I think I say that for a lot of people who really would like to see that guy lose. We would like to have truth tellers in the government, people that, I would love to say that I think you're a truth teller, but I don't really know. I mean, it's like I don't know about, I thought that there were other truth tellers and then they all disappointed me. So I think many of us are very skeptical, but we have to hope for the best because it is all we've got. Right. So we have to hope that the next person who tells us they're going to do the thing they're going to do in Congress, that's going to give the government back to the people. They're going to be, not taking money from donors and all of this. We have to just, I guess, keep trusting and hoping that this will be the one time the person doesn't screw us over, because unfortunately we seem to be screwed over and over, except for guys like Thomas Massey. There are some in there, very, very few, who are still standing firm to that principle. But boy, we need another 400 and some odd number of them. And hopefully you'll be next. Yeah. So good luck to you.
It's like I feel like we have like battered wife syndrome. I feel like we've been lied to so many times that we like gaslit and told all this stuff. It's like, I don't even blame people if they, doubt what I'm saying, but the proof will be in the pudding. What I do to judge me on my actions. And I think we're at a time right now where, like I said, if we don't get some people in office, and that's why I think my run is so important. It's not necessarily for what I personally can do. I'm going to try and do as much as I can. But I think that it's going to shape who runs in 2028 and what they run on. And I think that's extremely important. And I think this AIPAC endorsement is going to go from being a big net positive to a massive net negative, to the point where it might not even be worth the money that they take because of the negative stigma that comes with the AIPAC endorsement. And that's what I'm really hoping for. I think that's a huge, huge win, because when their money can't buy a seat anymore, that's when the big shift happens. Because right now, the way these campaigns are set up, it's like who raises the most money kind of wins, because they knock on the doors, they talk to the people, they convince them, and you've got this older demographic, which is primarily the voters in the primary, that are just glued to Fox News, that aren't seeing all the social media stuff. They don't know really what's going on, and you have to like get in front of them to explain the situation, and it just costs money to do that, right? And so hopefully we get to a place where people see, oh, AIPAC has, donated a bunch of money to this person. Can't trust them.
Dan, good luck to you. We do have the link down below for people to support your campaign. Wish you the absolute best of luck. When is the primary? I think it's in August, right? That's a late primary.
Yeah, mid-August. That's one of the reasons. Yeah, it's one of the reasons I chose this. Obviously, like I was born in Florida and I grew up there and I went to UF, but because the Iran war to me was like the tipping point. That was like, okay, we got to do something about this. This is absurd. Like our world as we know it could end. So the late primary was helpful because it gave me some time to actually mobilize and do things right. So.
Right. Well, good luck to you. And we'll keep tabs on your campaign and wish you the best of luck in defeating Randy Fine. Go get that guy. Drag him.
Alright, everybody who's in the state, fucking support this guy. Dan, he's a good guy. At least he's trying to help the right people instead of the wrong people. So yeah, full support to Dan. Dan is doing good work. I like this. See you guys next time.